Hey y'all, I just over the past couple of days I've been pondering and wondering how am I going to address this situation, and I tried whether or not to say something and at the same time come to terms with this. Now, here in Hamilton, Ontario, a mother experienced one of the most disturbing episode of her life. The fact that she went to school to pick up her son, and in that process her son was stabbed repeatedly and died in her arms. And unfortunately there was nothing at all, nothing she could do. Despite numerous CPR efforts, there was nothing anyone could do to bring that 14-year-old boy back to life. Which brings me to this. I don't understand what is going on. I really, really don't understand. I'm trying to figure out this whole generation. We have the first generation, second generation, third generation. We have the Y, the X, whatever they are called. But this is beyond my scope of understanding, because when I look at England has 11, 12, 13-year old. The funeral parlors are saturated with young bodies from stabbing and killing. We have Canada. Last week, they ran over a young girl with a motor vehicle. You know, as much as people say Trump, he may be a little bit illiterate or slow. I don't know what it is. But at the same time, I heard he made a statement the other day in one of his press conferences that the video games of the 21st century is too violent, that they should be banned. And I truly, truly, for the first time, agree with him. Because it's not about Pac-Man. It's not about Nintendo games anymore. It's about the fact that these kids' mind are so heightened to see blood and guts and gore and killing, the pulsation of the controller, to see the blood and the life leaves from the body. That's how real they're making these video games. And when you have your kids day in and day out, day in and day out, they're feeding their minds on these murderous, vile behavior. I believe it comes to the point where they're going to act out those behaviors. And as a social worker, as a person who understand mental health, as a person who understand of disabilities in all form, in all stages, I know, based on my profession, that there is a disconnection to reality. There is a disconnection to the human behavior, because human are not supposed to detached from reality. Because if one can easily go and kill someone. I was in Jamaica the other day on a vacation, and just a mere water being splashed on another uh, um, vehicle operator, the taxi and the judo operation. The guy came out of his vehicle and he stabbed the other fella repeatedly, like stab him repeatedly till I don't know what left in him, and he just faintly walked in the street and died. Are we back to the days of Neanderthalism? Are we back to the Stone Age? I, I thought we propelled to a different era, to an era where humans supposed to feel each other's pain and understand, uh, their trials and tribulations, and care for one another, like loving your neighbors or whatever. I remember coming up in school when, if my buddy don't have lunch, we share lunch. If I have a juice or a whatever, I'll drink half and I pass over the other half. What about those days? What about the days when you actually care about human lives? You care about your friends. You care about people nowadays. You're friends for all your childhood, and in an instant second, you can murder your friend without not even the thought of thinking the impact and the effect. When I look and watch the news at that mother in Hamilton, her emotional state, the father is cried in such a way. The mother made a statement that the only two children that she has, one is now taken away and only one left. And she's saying she don't know how the sister is going to cope to even propel through life without her brother. I say this, if the government don't step in and do something drastically, radically before it's too late, we're going to have a lot of burial grounds with a lot of young minds, young teenagers who haven't lived, who haven't had the chance, the opportunity to live and know what living is like. I can talk about fond memories of my childhood, from a child into teenage years, into adolescent, and so on and so forth. Those were fun memories. Can these children of this generation speak of that? Because video games has become their plight. Video game has become their world, their lives. They're so glued to that everything that's wired into them nowadays is about killing and murders and seeing blood and guts and gore. There has to be a change. There must be a change. And it's not only start with us, the parent at home, because the change starts there. Us as parent has to get radical, disengage these kids from these mask murderous games that they're putting out there. Those are plan of evilous mentality. The people who are making them to profit on them are causing these young minds to go crazy. Something has to be done, and the world has to wake up and understand that it is paramount, it is essential, it is necessary to fight back and fight against these things. Tell the kids to go out and play um, jump rope. Tell them to go in and hide and seek or something. But glued to these video games that is causing these mental breakdown. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. The Canadian government or the Ontario government just passed how many millions to combat developmental disability or disability or whatever. They got to get to the root of this problem. And the problem that we're facing across the globe, we're facing in schools and in our lives. Right now, there are schools that to one child, there are like eight, eight behavioral assistants to one child. Now, you're saying it's autism, or it's autism spectrum. There are many level of spectrum in those areas, but aren't we not looking at the core, the root cause of all of these problems? There are a myriad amount of things that make up these sort of behavior. A normal human being not supposed to just go and kill your peers. For what? Is that normal? However y'all see it, I see this as an epidemic. I see this a many parent are burying their children who haven't lived. And I believe that it is sad to say that I feel horrible. I feel terrible for these parents because I can only imagine what it is like to look at the seat in your breakfast table or your dinner table or even the bedroom that that child was once sleeping, and that child is no longer there to say mom or dad or to kiss them or to say I love you. If a person closed their eyes for 1 second and just the thought of being blessed with a boy or a girl, and from that child was born from inception, from just the mere developmental stage from birth, and to know that you watch that child grow and blossom, and in your mind as a parent, you want that child to aspire to be great in this world that we're living in, and to know that some deranged, crazy person would take that child away from you. Now open your eyes and understand the world now that you're going to be living in without that child. Sad, broken, life worth not living. I'm out.